Looking at CSR and why it is important today. Corporate Social Responsibility and Stakeholder Theory, Part 2. Businesses as we know it have always been profit-driven, but let's explore deeper into the other reasons for its existence that contribute to profit-making. And what surfaces in context of today's global economy is that businesses are still profit-driven, but how methods of acquiring profit and their effects on a network of stakeholders is the debate of CSR today. Why is CSR relevant today? Its imperativeness is in its increasing affluence, growing social expectations, and globalization, in which bring a result of CSR empowering stakeholders, and a better branding of company, which provides a leverage for profit gaining. And if this method is incorporated as a business strategy, it brings a competitive advantage for firms. CSR is viewed as a business strategy with the belief that it will bring a strategic advantage in a competitive globalized world. Incorporating CSR as a business level strategy is only feasible by relating it to relevant organizational operations. So Nike saving the whales is not effective. Therefore, CSR is seen as a holistic approach designed to enhance corporate success because of its relevance rather than represent something unconnected to the organization core businesses. This is generally why CSR has not been fully implemented into business practices based on a social objective. However, as we've seen, CSR is much more than that, and businesses will recognize this when they align it to their business practices. Now let's look at some examples of companies that have implemented CSR where it's worked, where they've reinvented their company methods of profit making. The first example that we find is BP, who rebranded through a $200 million exercise that effectively repositioned itself as the most environmentally sound and socially responsible extraction company. In opposition to ExxonMobil, who didn't recognize the environmental movement and therefore failed, CSR as a corporate strategy worked effectively. But for Nike, they've emerged as one of the most progressive global corporations. They've learned from their past mistakes and established its brand as a representation of a much more committed corporate citizen. Johnson & Johnson in 1982 had a hard time handling their crisis of their Tylenol brand, which was found poisonous. They had a $100 million recall of 31 million bottles of the drug, in which has enabled a strong revenue earner for the company to this day. So given a large amount of time, money, and effort, companies have invested their brands and applied a good CSR policy with an effective means of protecting that investment and maximizing its impact. CSR is important within a globalized world because the way brands are built on perceptions, ideals, and concepts that usually appeal to higher values. And CSR is a means of matching corporate operations with stakeholder values and demands at a time when these values and demands are constantly evolving.
Created using Powtoon.